Right. Hello and welcome to Wholehearted Living
with Valerie
and Bennie. This is the podcast where I come or she comes to what am I saying? Oh, we're siblings.
I was about ready to say that's what she said, but I'm like, okay,
we're brother and sister, and we come each week with some kind of topic where we surprise the other person, and usually it has to do with wholehearted living. But this week, as in last week, we're doing something a little bit different. And before I even get there, Iggy, thank you so much for keeping us in sound.
Hey.
Hi.
So you're welcome.
What?
Thank you so much for keeping us in sound. You say you're welcome.
I got confused for a second.
Okay, so you're welcome. Oh no, he's supposed to say it.
You're welcome.
There we go.
There
now
you
we
go.
Can move.
Thank you. Now we can move on. So anyway, I want to tell you, did I tell you guys that I graduated from college?
You did. You told us.
I'm sharing it again. But the only reason why I'm bringing it up is I told you that I finished classes and there was a bunch of paperwork I had to do, and I finished the paperwork. Now, I don't know if the paperwork is done right because they got it takes a couple weeks.
The class?
No. I actually got a 97, or I already know that. But what I do know is that there's paperwork because this all has to do with the legalities of how many hours you have and this and that and the other. And anyway, I got to make sure that I have the right amount of hours. And so you have to submit it all. And so then they tell you if you did it right. So that I'm waiting on whether or not I did it right. But I'm just super glad that like I've done it. And
I know, that's exciting. And we're going to have a graduation party, but we're not having it until after Lent because you're not doing alcohol right now.
Right. And so I want to drink.
You can have a graduation party and not drink alcohol.
I know. Well, that's true. I really don't care. Like I told you guys a few weeks ago that I actually don't. It's surprising because I gave it up for Lent thinking this is really going to help me focus on God since I have a drink every night. And I really just don't care. And so I forget to pray like you're supposed to.
Because you're forgetting that you're supposed to have a drink.
Yeah, because I'm supposed to have a drink. So it's not.
You could just have a drink and say, thank you, God, for my drink.
Yeah. What? that might have been better, huh? Like you thank God for your food beforehand.
Yes.
Yeah. I always think that's interesting. Where does that come from?
I don't know. We used to say, God is great. God is good. Let us thank him for our food. Amen.
Right. But where does it come from?
I don't know, Mom.
Everybody does it. I mean, people, whenever you're like, quote unquote, religious, it's like you pray for your food. Why do you do that?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like in general. I thought you meant that.
What is it about praying for your food? And then the other thing that I always
think, God provided it for us? I don't know.
I don't know, but doesn't he provide air? Do you walk around going, thank you, thank you, thank you?
I walk around thanking him for everything.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thing. You know, Paul says pray without ceasing. Well, how are you supposed to pray without ceasing and at the same time drive a car or, talk to somebody or eat? I don't know. Am I making sense? Isn't it true?
Because you can think while you're driving. Yeah, you really
that's
can.
Thinking. Thinking is not the same thing. Thinking is not the same thing.
You mean to tell me that you cannot drive and go, oh, thank you, Lord, for blah, 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 blah.
But see, so now we're getting into an actual religious little topic that I'm very fascinated in because I don't think prayer is what everybody thinks it is.
Okay, well, that's your opinion.
You don't even know what I think it is.
I don't know what you think it is.
No, but my point is that what's interesting is that most people think prayer is you got to close your eyes, you got to bow your head, you got to do something.
I used to pray every morning when I ran.
Right, but then if you pray without ceasing, are you praying right now? Sinner. So that's the point. It's like we're not.
Does he say pray without ceasing or you're a sinner?
Well, if you pray without ceasing, and so the implication is if you don't, then you're going against. Sinner is a very specific word which means miss the mark.
I hear it like just don't pray when you sit, like before you go to bed, kneel down and put your hands together and pray, on your bed, like you see in the movies. I just hear it as, these are conversations. These are things that you should be thankful for on a daily basis, whether it's because you had your favorite coffee drink from Coffee Bean or you woke up and you didn't have a kink in your neck, like continually give thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can be with that, but when you think of that phrase, pray without ceasing, it's like that's not what you're doing. Or I'm not giving thanks when I'm in an argument with Patty. I'm not.
Thank you, Lord, for giving me a wife so that I can argue with her.
Never mind. We've derailed here. I don't know what in the world we're talking about. But what I do know is that I that whole thing of praying before a meal is interesting to me. I wonder where it comes from. And then I wonder why it's such a big deal, like that whenever you go to a Christian gathering, they always pray before the food.
Like a lot of the prayer, because now that I'm back going to church and having meals with a lot of friends from church and that kind of stuff, I think that a lot of times they're like, bless our conversation. Thank you for the food that was provided. Thank you for the hands that provided it, because often it's a potluck. So, I mean, that's just my guesstimate.
Yeah. And what would happen if you didn't?
I don't think anything would happen. I just think it's taking that moment to thank God for the moment that you have there.
Okay.
Together.
All right. Well, you're wrong.
Okay.
Just because you said that to me.
I know. I'm just kidding. I didn't say you were wrong. I said that's your opinion.
Oh, that's right. That would have been funnier. Can we back that up, Iggy? That's your opinion. Just put that in. All right. So you ready for the guest?
Yeah. Who are we having on?
So, guys, this is probably my favorite person in the entire world.
I'm already on the podcast with you.
So we are going to have my beautiful bride, Patty.
Yay.
She is
and just in case you don't know, you can back up to last week's episode. We had our sister on.
Yeah.
And so
we've had our mom and our dad, which, by the way, our sister came on and said, my father, as if it wasn't our father. Mm-hmm. Our father. See, prayer again. At any rate, we're gonna have my wife on. Her name is Patty, and we are just super glad to have her. So yay! Here she comes.
I know last week you
all right, everybody. I'm sorry to interrupt.
We're just chatting.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what we're gonna do together as a podcast. So this is my wife, Patty.
Hello.
And my
hi,
sister-in-law.
Thanks for having me.
I call her Boogers, by the way, so people freak out. Where did Boogers come from? Boogers?
Me. I used to call you Booger Snot Nose.
Oh.
Yeah, why?
Wasn't that nice?
Because he had boogers in his nose?
Well, okay, if we're going to be really honest, I think it was you made me mad one time, and I was just like, Booger Snot Nose. I don't know. I really don't know.
I have no recollection of that at all.
I really have no idea.
I don't think you've ever called me Booger.
No, I've never have. But I mean, over the years, we've had several different little pet names for each other. Precious.
Stay close.
Precious.
Yeah,
was
Precious.
around for
oh my gosh, when we got married, it was
time.
Precious. When we got married, it was Precious, and your grandpa hated it.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Why?
Because it was really one of the. It was kind of gross. It got to. I mean, what I mean is, it was like Precious, Precious, and so he would be like, he would go Precious.
Oh,
it was
now,
like too ooey gooey.
Yeah. How many times is he married to? So that's part of it.
Oh,
he was married 47
7 times.
Yeah, or something like that.
Oh,
yeah. He was good at it.
It was a really
good at marrying, not staying married.
He was married for 30 years.
He's like
7 different women.
He was an amazing grandpa.
Yeah,
that's
he was.
To me. So
that's good.
It's true. To Patty. Okay. Well, sweetheart, tell us your life story. Valerie and I are going to leave.
Okay. See ya. Perfect.
Sweetheart, I do have a question for you. So this was how I was going to start it, because a lot of people know about Stephanie. Like, she came on in terms of her family life, because she's heard us talk about our family life. We don't know anything about your family life. So I'm curious, what was your upbringing like? What was it like growing up?
Well, I am the youngest. I have 2 older brothers. When I was young, my dad was an engineer and he built power plants. And so we moved around every 2 years. So I have the complete opposite kind of upbringing that you guys did because you guys, were born and raised in the exact same house and your parents still live there. Mm-hmm. We moved around all the time. So, I mean, we would stay in one city or town for 2 years and then we'd move somewhere else.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
that's interesting, because you know what? I thought you guys were missionaries. I remember knowing that you guys moved a lot, but I thought it was because you guys were missionaries.
oh my God, that's
Because
funny.
you and Bennie met on.
They were.
yeah.
Well, she'll keep going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, but then.
Wait, can I ask you a question about the thing about moving around a lot?
Yeah.
What was that like for you to move around a lot? Was that hard to make friends, or what was it like to constantly move?
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm an adult, I think about that sometimes too. And it was, I mean, at the time it was like, oh, a new adventure, but it was always really, really hard leaving my friends and then having to go to a new school and start all over and make new friends and, you know, try to get like involved, if you will. I mean, like in a different community and all of that. So yeah, I think that was very, I mean, I think it shaped a lot of who I am, I think, but I think another kind of thing that it did is it made it, I don't think I have a hard heart, but I think it made it so that I became much more choosy.
Did you ever feel like,
about,
it might be, why am I even going to try to make a friend if I'm going to leave it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot. And I still deal with that because I'm like, why am I going to make the effort?
Yeah. Well, then you said it shaped a lot of who I am. So what does that mean? What did you mean by that?
Well, like what Valerie was saying, it's kind of like that thing of, is it really worth my effort and my time to invest in someone if I know I'm leaving?
Right.
And now, I mean, people leave too, you know? So it's like, it's that thing of how many times am I going to keep putting myself out there, being vulnerable
Yeah.
and getting hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of.
And mom and dad though were supportive, or I mean, what was the home life like? So you're talking about your friends and going to school and all that stuff. What was it like in home?
You know, home was, I mean, I think I felt like I had a good childhood. My parents were supportive, especially more as a teenager. I remember that more. You know, and my dad, he bought a boat, and so we would live near a lake, and so he would take me water skiing and take my friends water skiing, and so that
Just like our dad.
Yeah. And for most of my life, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I think, you know, that was incredible.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's so rare now, you know, but.
Well, it would be hard though that she never left the house. Get it? Stay at home.
Oh, brother.
I am your brother. I am so funny.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
You're
keep
welcome.
going. Sorry.
Well, now I lost my train of thought.
I know.
You were just talking about your mom was a stay-at-home mom, and it was really great that she was stay-at-home, and your dad took you on boating trips.
Yes. And then, you know, like he ended up getting laid off from his engineering job building power plants. And so he opened his own business and he started remodeling homes. And so, and his first challenge was he was going to buy a house, which is the house that my parents live in now, and completely gut it and remodel it. And he did, so that he knew that he could do it all, you know?
Just like our dad.
And, well, and you know, it's very interesting how things come around because, you know, at one point in our marriage, Bennie was working for my dad, and Bennie now knows how to do
a lot of
stuff because he worked with my dad and my brother.
Right.
And so, like, when things come up, like we have a plumbing problem, Bennie can fix it. We don't have to call the plumber, you know?
That's kind of fun.
So it's, yeah.
Well, and I've always been a risker,
great.
unlike, you know, dad.
Yeah.
So I've always been a risker. Like I've been, and mom used to always tell me that, you know, I can't recall all this, but she goes, it wasn't.
You took apart toasters.
Yeah,
you took
she
apart
said
little
she goes,
transistor
we'd come home and you
radios.
took apart things.
Yeah.
And it was all apart. And of course, dad would get very upset. And most of the time I could put it back. Sometimes we ended up with a new one.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anywho.
Well, I didn't take apart things.
Yeah.
Neither did I.
I was a little princess. So.
Oh, nice. A little princess. So
And if
tell
you're
us-
on YouTube, you can see she's wearing pink, so she's like
am
Glinda.
Oh
and
my
I'm
God.
wearing green like Elphaba. So
and I'm wearing,
we're not talking
We're not
about
talking
you.
about you.
I look like an Irish Mexican. I'm wearing green. Hey, so boogers, do you have any questions? I'm sorry, I could just
No, this is
ask all
fun
three.
doing this.
It's like tennis.
No, okay, wait. So you said she's going to get to that. I am kind of curious because you and Bennie met in Hawaii. Was that kind of a missionary little thing, or were you just there by yourself? Like, I thought, for some reason, I just thought you bounced around with your parents to this stuff and they were there. And
No.
okay.
So when I was maybe a senior in junior, I don't know. I was in high school, getting ready to graduate.
Important. Junior?
Oh my
or
God,
senior?
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm like that. Anyway, I had gone on like this little mission trip on this little ship with Youth with a Mission called the Good Samaritan. It was like, I don't know, 10 days or something. And then like during that trip, I was like, I really felt like God telling me to go into missions. And so I told my parents that, and my dad basically was like, well, you're not going without us. They were a little attached to me. So,
okay. See, Stephanie, you could go with Jonathan. No, just kidding.
yeah. So we went to Hawaii, and we did some mission stuff in Hawaii. And then I enrolled in I'm just going to call it a class, because to make it easy for all listeners. And then went through that class. And then after that class was over, I decided I would stay. So at that time I had been in Hawaii. We were in Kona for a year. And so then I decided to work on staff in one of the offices. And that's how I met Benny, because he came to be a student and take a class. And all students are assigned work duties, and his work duty was in my office, and so I was his boss.
Yep.
So he had to empty your trash can?
No, it wasn't that kind of
he
job.
didn't do that. He would send faxes and I don't know.
Well, here, I have to tell this part of the story. This is funny, because we all had work duties, and then this day, there's no computers or anything, so it's a whiteboard. I don't even think it was a whiteboard. I think it was a chalkboard. And so it's a chalkboard, and it had all the different options. And they were like, you could be a driver, you could clean floors, like these decks, you can clean bathrooms, there was all these different things. And one of them was receptionist. And literally we just got in a line, and I was somewhere in the middle or whatever, or toward the back, and all of them are going away, and I could see driver, and I'm like, oh, I want to be the driver. That's what I want to do. And I'm going and I'm going and I'm going, and the guy right in front of me goes, I'll be the driver. And I'm like, the only thing that was left was, yeah, that's true. The only thing that was left was cleaning toilets and decks. And so funny, because I go, I'll be the receptionist. And they looked at me like, and I go, hey, I can answer phones. That's what I assumed it would be, right? And so they were like, okay. And the person who was actually Patty's boss was in my class. I didn't know this at the time, but she was Patty's boss. She was in my class, and she heard me say that, because she's wondering who's going to be her receptionist. And then she's funny. Like, and she said, when you first said you were going to do that, I was kind of freaking out. But anyway. So yeah, you want to tell them how you pursued me?
Well, I am going to make it very short.
I love that.
But I did chase him around the desk, and I made it painfully obvious that I was very interested in him, even though he had a girlfriend here in California. And wow, Trinity really wants me to say something.
Well, wait. So you know what's so funny about this is that it's
your story, but he's going to talk.
But I walked in thinking she was beautiful, but I was like, I'm committed to this other girl. And it was more committed on paper but in my mind, it was like an ethics thing. It wasn't a
because you hadn't broken up, and you're like thinking we're
I
not really quote unquote together. You guys were
separated by thousands of miles, and this is in the day when you had to use the MCI card to make a phone call.
Right.
It was like
you could chat every night, FaceTime.
No, exactly. Yeah. And so. But I honestly had already changed my feelings toward her, but I hadn't broken up. So it was like, well, I can't pursue this girl. There's nothing going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I saw Benny, and I pursued him relentlessly.
Mm-hmm.
She did.
I did. And at one point, Trinity, this is the story Trinity is dying for me to say, is that at one point, Benny said, well, I have a girlfriend, right? And I go, I don't see any ring on your finger.
Yeah. And the reason why I did that was because this is, again, Kona is where the, what's that race called?
Ironman triathlon.
The Ironman triathlon is there. And Patty was volunteering
He really wants to get into all the details.
Well, no, but what's so
my
funny
detail
about this?
between junior year, senior year
Right.
is nothing now because he's going to tell the whole
This is a funny
story.
story though, because what was so funny is it was like, she goes, I worked for 3 hours, Patty, in the afternoon, something like that.
Yeah.
3 hours every afternoon, 5 days a week, something like that. And she was going to be gone the whole week. And so I was going to cover more. Like I was going to be there longer because she was going to be gone. But here's what's so funny is there's no cell phones or anything. And so this is what she says. And this is like a month into me being there, something like that. Here's my home number. This is where I stay. And this is another number that you can contact me if you need to. None of them having to do with the Iron Man thing.
Right.
She goes, just in case you need me. And I'm looking at him going,
As
I
I
don't
said,
understand. She's not going to be there.
I
I don't
pursued you.
understand why she's giving me all these numbers.
But
I
Benny was
love
very
that.
dumb.
I was very dumb, though.
And he did not catch on for a long time.
She used to walk by my room and go,
and even
hi.
his
And
roommates were like, dude, she likes you.
That's what finally happened. Yeah, finally happened. My
is
roommates
so
were all
funny.
saying this. And
She
I was like,
doesn't.
no,
No,
she
she
doesn't.
doesn't.
That's exactly what I
Oh
said.
my goodness. That's
Yeah.
funny.
But 3 months later, we were dating, technically.
Because we met in September, right?
Yep.
And we started dating like January, got engaged in March, so we're married in December. So,
Yep.
and
30
we've
some
been
years
married
ago.
how long now?
34 and a half years. 34 and some years.
Yeah.
See, I did good.
You did good.
All right. Well, that's a little family life. That's a little bit about the mission thing. And then her folks continued on missions, right?
They did. They did. Yeah. You and I got married, and my parents continued in Hawaii for a while, and they went to Chile, and then I'm going to say they moved back to Kansas City. I
think that's what happened.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and they've been there ever since.
Yeah.
Were
And
you
they're-
always a Chiefs fan? Because you lived in Kansas City.
Well, I did live in Kansas City, and I had gone to a few Chiefs games, and I would say that because I lived in Kansas City, I probably would have said I was a Chiefs fan, but I really did not become a Chiefs fan until I saw Patrick Mahomes.
You saw him?
I saw him.
And did you chase him around the desk?
Oh my God.
Exactly. And I'd be okay
That'd
with
be
it.
fun. No, there was this one game that I would never watch football with Benny because I really don't like watching. I don't like sports. I don't
Yeah.
like watching sports. The only sports I did in growing up was swim team and gymnastics. So I didn't play team sports.
Super
I
team
didn't-
sports.
Yeah, exactly. And so obviously, I mean, you guys all know Benny is super into sports. He would watch any sport. He'll watch freaking bowling. I
Right.
mean, which
It's
I am
true.
dying.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I'm not watching football with you. So I would just do my own thing. But this one day I just happened to be sitting here and I looked up and I watched Patrick Mahomes, and he was looking for a pocket, right? Is it called a pocket? So he could throw the ball to somebody, you know, and he had it in his right hand. And all of a sudden he switched it to his left hand and he threw this perfect pass. And I was like,
Whoa.
oh my God, instant fan.
Oh, how funny.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then all of
So
a sudden she totally
I'm
followed
really a Patrick Mahomes
Yeah.
fan. But by default, obviously, I'm a Chiefs fan.
Right.
And
Okay, so what happened if he goes to another team? What happened if he went to another team?
Mahomes?
I really don't think
Well,
he
don't-
will.
just
He's very invested
Pretend
in
he does.
Missouri.
Are you
Kansas City.
still his fan? Or are you running
Oh,
with Kansas City?
No, I'll probably still be his fan.
Okay. I was just curious.
I have to
Probably.
admit that if Mahomes switched teams, I would still be a Mahomes fan, but I would stay Chiefs. So it's
Well, this
'cause
isn't
I
about
think
you,
could
it's
do
about
both.
me.
Oh,
Right.
that's true.
I didn't ask you. I asked her.
That's true. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
but I will say that that's probably like one of my favorite things now about our family is that we come together and we watch Chiefs games together, the six of us, and we
Yeah, I think that's
Trinity
very cool.
Trinity
Is you.
tolerates it.
Yeah.
So she doesn't watch it, but she's at least present.
Yeah.
And she even has a jersey.
yeah. But Iggy and Andy became fans because they weren't particularly football fans. Fair statement. It wasn't that you didn't watch it, but you didn't have a particular team.
Yeah.
And so coming into our family was kind of fun because they were willing to adopt it.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
telling Benny the day you guys had the Super Bowl party, I went to go say goodbye to Iggy, and I was shocked. He was just like, I thought someone died. Like he was just like, his face was so sad and mad, and he's just like, I was like, wow, I've never seen him like this. And then like the following week, Benny's like, you've probably never seen Iggy like that. I'm like, nope, never.
It was not a good.
Yeah,
it was not
that was crazy.
Oh, that was a stupid game.
That was a really was. I actually left that game.
Yeah, you went upstairs for a while.
Like soon after halftime. Mm-hmm. Yes, because I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
I know. We all started playing a game over there. In the
I know.
corner.
I was the one that started the game.
I know.
I know. That was so horrible. All right. Beautiful. What else? I was going to ask you about what you do. A lot of people don't necessarily know what you do.
Well, right now I work at a high school with freshmen, and I push into classes and give them support in classes, and then I tutor them after school.
Cool.
And then I also tutor as a second job.
Is it students that are just low, or do they have IEPs? Or
the students that I have are just low.
Mm-hmm.
So something that I'm interested in, and bringing into our wholehearted living thing is for years and years and years, first of all, you've always been interested in kids.
Yeah.
Always loved
work
kids.
with kids.
Okay. And then we don't need to get into this. You can, but you used to love working with little kids, and then you started working with high schoolers, and then you went back to little kids. You kind of went back and forth, but basically you love kids.
I do. I love kids. There's always the challenges, and there's always I can't say always. Many times there's rewards.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this year has been a really rough year, a really rough, difficult group of kids that I've been working with this year. But yeah, I do love kids, and I really, really want to help them succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I want to try to set them up for success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, whether that's in the classroom or whether that's with like trying, with their own personal lives, that's always been like my heart.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Well, one thing that I found really interesting about you was as we grew up, as we got married together, when we got married and we talked, one thing that you absolutely said you would never do, or you can't do, there's just no way I could ever do this, is get my degree.
Yeah. I was really, that's definitely, that's the thing. I cheated my way through high school. So I definitely did not have the confidence that I could go into a college class and be successful. Mm-hmm. I did go to like a community college near our home, and I took typing and I took accounting, and I passed those classes. But
man, how much does that age you when you take typing?
Typing
doesn't exist anymore, right? I don't think it does. Anyway, keep going.
And I just was like, this isn't for me. I want to graduate from high school, because I took those classes. I took my second semester of my senior year. Mm-hmm. So I basically graduated a semester early. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, as soon as I'm done with this, I just want to meet the man I'm going to marry, and I just want to be married and have kids, mm-hmm. and I want to be a stay-at-home mom. That's mm-hmm. what I want to do. And, I did marry Bennie at 21. We were young. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
I mean, now I'm like,
mm-hmm.
oh my God, we were really young, especially as my daughter is getting ready to get married. Mm-hmm. And, so, our daughter.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
My sperm.
And that's all.
Sorry.
Totally lost my train of thought. So anyway, yes. So the degree thing, yes. Like in the back of my mind, I'm always like, I could never go back to college. I could never be successful. But then it just got to this point. We actually were living in Ecuador, and I was teaching, or, being a teacher's aide in a preschool classroom. Absolutely loved that. And then I would take over teaching when the teacher wasn't there. And that just like
kind of lit your
it
fire.
made me go, yeah, I want to get my degree. And so I did I did go to college, and it was insane because the girls were young and I was working full time. We were church planting. We were learning Spanish. We were, the kids were in sports and activities, and it was really crazy. Yeah, you were. Ashley, what? Ashley, okay, well, she's one of my kids too. Peanut gallery's very distracting.
Thank you. You remembered this moment later when you're at the peanut gallery.
Okay. So it was really, really insane. And every time, I would start a class, I would go, oh my God, I'm going to fail this class. I'm going to fail this class. It's going to be so awful. And it was so stressful, so stressful. And every time I would end a class and I would get an A.
She did that every single time.
Every single time.
And then her school was...
It was beautiful.
6 weeks on or something like that. What was it?
Yeah. So this was, how many years ago was this? 15-ish years ago. So, online school wasn't very popular 15 years ago, but this, thank God, I found an online school, and I was able to do all classes online. It was completely asynchronous. So it was like discussions and lots of papers, and each class was 6 weeks. So I was only in one class for 6 weeks, and then I would end that class and start another one like the next day.
Literally, it was interesting because she literally finished a class on Friday and on Monday started a new one. And for years, I think you took one break.
I took
1 or 2 breaks.
I would, because when we would travel here, it would just be, the schedule would be so busy that I was like, I just can't, it would just stress me out too much. I was like, I can't focus. The one time I did it, I was so mad at Benny because he was like, just take it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And that was my 1B. And I was so mad because I got a B and I wanted an all A's, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I know.
But what's interesting is, and the reason why I brought it up is because at 40 years old to do something like that, that was about 40, right?
Yeah, because I graduated, I think, when the same year Ashley graduated, or the year after, right?
I don't know. Are you kidding me? I can't remember.
Yeah,
yesterday.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but it was.
I don't remember when.
But it was about.
But you weren't 18.
No, I was not 18. I was in my 40s, and
yeah.
like I said, Ashley was a senior in high school. Trinity was 6th grade.
When you graduated.
When I graduated.
Yeah. Could you tell us what helped you? I mean, yes, you said I saw these kids and I was like, oh gosh, I want to do this thing. I want to do the same thing they're doing. So that's one thing. But a lot of people have desires to do something. What made it so you finally just went, I can do this. I'm gonna do it. Was there any particular thing that made you get over the hump?
Yeah, I think I was really insecure. It was, and I think that's what, like, the thing that like really pushed me was like, the thing I was insecure about was me and myself, and not having the education and not feeling like I was intelligent enough to have a conversation with people about anything, because I don't have an education. How can I talk to anyone if I'm not at this level with them and I'm way down here? That was like my own insecurity, my own lack of confidence in myself. And
I know a lot of people with education that can't carry conversations.
Well, 100%. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. But that was just like, that was my talk. That was the talk that I had in my head, you know? And so, and then there were people around me encouraging me, get your degree and then you can be X, Y, and Z. And, you could be a classroom teacher and, and I did get my, and so that is what was in my mind. Like, I'm tired of feeling like this, like I'm less than. And so I think that's for me what it really came down to is I'm tired of feeling less than. And then, as it progressed and as I went through getting my degree, there were so many times when I would get so down on myself, like, because I would just be like, this is so hard. And, instead of being with my kids and my family and watching a movie or doing something, I'm locked in the bedroom writing a paper and I'm reading and I'm studying, and, I mean, that was 4 years of that. And
Yeah,
that was
that's-
really,
Yeah.
that was a big chunk of time. And I'm sure my kids will be in therapy for years for my neglect.
I was a
Don't
great
think
father and
so.
completely with them, managing everything perfectly fine.
Okay.
I'm going to be in therapy forever.
So there were times when you wanted to quit, and then what?
So many times when I wanted to quit. And Benny would just say, Patty, you can do this. You got this, and just really, and he'd be like, don't quit now. Look how close you are to being done.
Yeah.
And one thing that, like, another thing that kept me going is I really loved learning. I loved everything I was learning.
Yeah.
And that was so much fun. It was just like, I mean, I hated history as a kid, and like history all of a sudden became alive to me, and and so I loved learning, and I still love learning. I mean, I go to school every day and I sit in classes and I have to learn everything the kids are learning so that I can help them with their homework, you know? So I'm really thankful for that. And now, of course, I'm so thankful I have my degree, because you really can't get a job without having at least a bachelor's. So, I mean, it's very difficult.
Certain jobs, for sure.
Certain
yeah.
job. Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to try to make a living wage, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
Unless you have some very specific talent
Trade,
and gift,
yeah.
and unless you have a certain
Or a connection or something like that. Yeah.
exactly. So
No, it's true.
yeah, but I'm really thankful that I did go ahead and finish and get my degree, because I think it also set a really good example for our kids.
Yeah.
Of
Not just about getting a
doing it.
degree, about saying if you put your heart to something, you can get it done. You can do it.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm setting a really good example for my kids that I can do a pull up.
Oh my God, Valerie. Okay. No, you know what though? I know it's about me, but I really do admire you. Oh wow.
See?
Yeah, this is about you.
Cannot be
This is
a
about
shock
you.
at all. But no, Valerie is amazing. She really is an amazing woman.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Yeah. I really,
See
I
what you
have,
did, Valerie?
Benny married up by marrying me,
Yeah.
but I got two really amazing sisters out of the
Yeah.
deal. So it's really cool.
It's true.
Yeah. It's very cool. I'm very...
Too bad we're not gay, because then we could have married each other.
Oh my God. Wow. We could be a throuple.
I actually just learned that word not long ago. Oh, how weird is that I didn't know that? Like until like I what?
Yeah.
I didn't know it. I don't remember
What'd she just
that.
say?
That's so funny.
Kylie talked about a friend that blah blah blah, and they're a throuple. I'm like, a throuple, and then she told me, I was like, oh my gosh, how do I not know that? I always thought it was like a menage a trois, but then that would just be like that they wanted to hook up. I guess a throuple is they're actually really
Together.
yeah. That's
Interesting.
So interesting.
Yeah.
So off topic, but so
Yeah.
interesting.
Very much so.
I could not do that.
No.
That's my...
That was a
That's
joke.
my tidbit.
I could not do that.
That's the one thing. Wholehearted living.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we are just about out of time. Is there anything you wanted to say? Like, that's because although I love that story, I'm wondering if there's anything you want to say about what's going on with you nowadays. You don't have to. I'm just asking, or anything about wholehearted living that you want to share.
I love my daughter.
Well, from last week's episode, you asked Stephanie a question, like what you would want to be known as.
Yeah, there you go. What would you
Whatever.
want to be known as?
And
Yeah.
I loved what she said, because it totally resonates with me, right? I want to be known, or I want people to talk about me and talk about how I loved them, my children, my husband, my family, my friends, and I have become a very, small circle type person. I think when I was younger, I had lots of friends everywhere, and now I'm like very, very close knit, small. And honestly, my closest friends are still in Missouri.
Yeah.
And so, and I talk to them regularly, which I know is very weird, because I can't get together with them every time, whenever I want, but yeah. So
Well,
I
that's
don't know.
the
I
beauty
just
of
like
today's day and age. 'Cause
Yes,
you can
it
keep
is.
in touch with them
Marco
just
Polo,
whether you're doing,
texting,
exactly.
phone calls, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
FaceTime.
yeah. And, yeah. So maybe one tidbit of wholehearted living is, you know, if you have something in your mind, do it.
Mm.
You know, I mean, and it's going to be hard work. It's not easy to make a change. It's not easy to go back and get a degree. I mean, Benny has been going back getting his master's, and that has not been easy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been a lot of work for him. It's been a lot of work for me. But it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
Yeah, it's just really rewarding to think you could do it. But I think the thing out there, the word out there, right, for folk is that if you're feeling, it's, you know, it's the classic thing. We talked about this several weeks ago of Nike, just do it. And what's interesting is that I think Valerie and I, we talked about the fact that the word, and I can't remember who said this, but she said the operative word there is just. It's not do it. Because if I said, if Nike's thing was do it, that would sound like forceful and annoying and whatever. But when you say just do it, the just is where everybody's stuck, right? It's like the truth is that a lot of times we don't want to do it.
Yeah, well, and
the
there's
just word puts you there.
There's so much fear going into something.
Yeah.
The fear of the unknown, the fear of failure, the fear, I mean.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. And yet, once you start doing it, all of a sudden things change, right?
Yeah.
For you, even the way
For sure.
mentally, the way you see yourself, like you said about yourself.
And the degree was the reward for all that hard work. But it's still, even if you, and I'm not suggesting this, but I'm just saying, you said you loved learning. So
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
if it was just that you did it to learn, and at the end of the day you didn't get the degree for whatever reason, you still learned.
You still learned.
and you
Yeah.
still pushed yourself, you know. And that's
Absolutely.
For sure.
I think that's
Yeah, because
a
this
lot.
isn't about degrees. This is about whatever goal or ambition, and you're hiding from it for various reasons. And Patty's talked about insecurities and all these things that she just said. It's like that idea of wholehearted living is okay. We can do it, and
Yeah.
changing
Do it.
the narrative in your
Yeah.
head. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
well, guys, thank you, boogers. I love you.
Thank you.
I'm not going to call you
I love
boogers.
you
I'm going
too.
to call you Patty.
Oh,
Yeah.
Valerie.
Iggy, thank you so much for keeping us in sound. Thank you so very much. Thank you for whispering to Iggy on a podcast.
Yes.
I was trying to talk, but then
It barely
the
came
voice
out.
just didn't come out.
All right, folks, we're at wholehearted_living_podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. You can follow us on both YouTube and Spotify. And we would love to hear from you there as well. You can comment, you could like, you could subscribe. So that would be great.
I think your dog is farting.
My dog is farting and it's being waved off and he doesn't
Anyway,
care.
you guys, thank you so much for being here, and we will chat with you later. Bye.
Ciao.